Hey everyone, welcome in. Thank you for joining me. My name is Marlene. I'm with A Room to Bloom. So I have a number of books in front of me, and over the past few days, I've just received a number of messages. Yes, through books, but also I might receive the message in the morning, but then more unfolds as the day moves along. And simply put, I think I have a number of them to get through. But it's also, being in this space of uh, going out and experiencing life, if you will, right? Seeing what is brought forth in front of me, or who is brought forth in front of me. What do I hear? What am I seeing? What do I smell? Um, like if I were at a store, right, and I am, like, say I'm shopping, right? What is the texture of the material, etc. This would be examples of being in our senses. If I eat something, what is the taste, right? So this is about coming back to our senses. And so if your life is feeling very flat, if you will, that is what you are being called to do, to get back to your senses. I always have the vision of the television show or movie where a friend or a family member is saying to another person, come back to your senses, like they think somebody's lost it, right? They've basically kind of a lot of people might describe moments as having an out of body experience, right? Where they felt like they just stepped back from everything that keeps them here in the human experience. So this idea of coming back to your senses in our human experience, but then we also have that sixth sense, right? And so this is learning to trust that, learning to listen to it, learning to honor it. And I say listen, but that listening could be in the form of paying attention to how your body feels in a certain situation. Do you get the hair standing on the edge of your arms if you walk into a certain environment, or if someone walks in? And so you are or can be sensitive to energies or locations or places or sounds or so many different things, right? You can be highly sensitive to, say, scents or smells that others cannot pick up, but you can. And so many different things go on with that. But before I get much further, I wanted to just start with a reading from Starting Your Day Right. It's a devotion of each morning. This is by Joyce Meyer, and this is one I had opened. And I wanted to share this because it just really struck me. So when I go out with the conscious mind of saying, I am sending healing prayers to areas in which I go, to people in which I encounter that I may not speak with, but yet I pray. I send healing to them. So the other day, this is just an example. I was at a store and there was I don't know, maybe a teenage girl on crutches, and obviously something happened. Because her crutches were pretty new, but she was having a hard time. But it was obviously part of the work in rebuilding her strength, right, to do the walk. But it wasn't easy on her, and I could see that. And it looked like she had a family member with her who was, I'm sure, wanted to, ease her suffering, and yet knew that in order for her to truly gain her strength, she kind of had to go through it a bit. But still, that doesn't mean when we see someone who is struggling, when we take that moment and send out healing prayers um, to people, to places, to situations, right? Uh, where we are at, or where we maybe are not at, or where we have maybe never been. But we send that out, and those prayers are felt. We send out a vibration into the etheric field, right? We send out a vibration, and that's why there is more power when more people pray. Okay, so this particular note says act now, and it's dated August 9th. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me, the anointed one, the Messiah, to preach the good news, the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to announce release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to send forth as delivered those who are oppressed, or who downtrodden, bruised, crushed, are broken down by calamity, right? So again, to preach the good news. And so let's go on. That's Luke 4:18, by the way. So it goes on to read, good intentions are not acts of obedience, and procrastination devours opportunities to live a purposeful life. Whatever God has inspired you to do, do it today. So I have goosebumps now as I'm reading that. Just do what needs to be done, even if it is the first thing you tackle is doing the dishes in the kitchen sink, or a garage that needs cleaning. If God has specifically told you to bless someone and you have intended to do it, remember that now is the acceptable time. Now is the day of salvation. See 2 Corinthians 6:2. But really a beautiful message, right? So when we have this, some people might say that still small voice whispering to them. Others might use the word inkling. I had an inkling to do this. Something was prodding me. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps. Something was prodding me. It's I felt a nudge, in a certain direction. And or a nudge to call a certain person, to reach out to someone. This is where we are being called to not ignore those nudges, because they're coming from a higher source, right? And that higher source, of course, is God. So it's like listening to them and doing something with them, not just sitting there and saying, I wish I would have, I should have, I didn't. And there's going to be many times where those messages were coming in, but you didn't, because we get distracted in our human experience. And that is part of this experience. Is there are others that will be on opposing teams, if you will, that try to distract us from hearing that small voice from within, from hearing our guidance, from acting upon what we are being nudged to do, say, experience, whatever that is, right? Okay. And so it's funny, I keep looking up at the clock because of the time. I have 2 friends whose birthdays are on this day. So that nudge is coming to me right now, that like reach out to them. That's what I'm getting, right? And so just something to mention. I'm going to set this aside right now. And I'd like to go to a deck of cards here called Wisdom Cards. They are by Del Cates with a C. And then let's see what comes up that would be helpful for messages to kind of get things going. We're going to pull a few and see what comes up. What would you like to bring forth for the collective today? Okay, the first message is there is only love. There is never hurt. There is never a hurt of one to another. if one can harm another, it isn't this reality. It isn't in this expression, and it isn't in this fulfillment. There is only love, and love cannot fear. Love cannot be hurt. So I was somewhere today, there's a K written on here too, which I find interesting, and it is outlined in yellow. So the yellow is about the solar plexus chakra. Stand in your power, right? This message to me says it's a message. It's a kingdom message, right? So I almost bought this notebook today, and I just let it be because I have enough, right? And I thought, no, I'm going to save that for someone else to see the message. And it was all, it was humans, kids, adults, uh, animals, like it was neighborhoods, all these different things, all connected in a circle. And it said, we are all of one being, and that being is God, right? So again, that same message there, when we do something to someone, we end up doing it to ourselves, right? So, all right, let's see what else comes through. Peace can enclose all the world in the truth of oneness, right? So it's just that same message. We are all of one. Bringing the hush of the dawn of love in one's heart with the past dissolved. Love will win if you let it. I'm going to read this again. Peace can enclose all the world in the truth of oneness. Bringing the hush of the dawn of love in one's heart with the past dissolved. Love will win if you let it, right? So this is saying we do not have to carry around what was in our past any longer. We can choose peace. We can choose to let things go, understanding that they were lessons. They didn't define us. They don't make us who we are. They are things that we experience. Yes, there's choices that we made, but that is how we evolve our soul, right? Okay, the next one we have is absolutely everything will turn out just fine. Know it, love it. Sow the seeds of it and set this into the heart of self as done, right? And again, when you think about Abraham Hicks, Shelley says, things are always working out for me, right? And so those words are very powerful. Things are always working out for me. So it's setting that intention. Ask and ye shall receive. Ask and get it. Ask and it is yours. Ask for the best. Ask for the worst. Ask for nothing. It is yours, all yours, right? So, you can try this if you are new to this idea. And some people feel like they don't want to ask because something is big. So if that is like something that you are working through, because that's it's a programming, right, that we move through. So you can practice in small ways. So let's just say that, like, these simple pleasures, if you will. Let's just say there's something that you enjoy. All right, this is just kind of really random, this idea, but let's say that you stop, you used to get magazines, but you stopped doing that a long time ago. And you happen to go into an office that has them while you wait. And so you're looking through this magazine, and there's something about a story that you're reading that is very compelling to you, that is very resonant with your experience, whatever this is, right? And so you can either put that magazine down and say, oh, I'll just put that here, right? And never finish the story. Or you can go up to the front, you might flip it over and say, oh, this magazine's like 6 months old, right? Go to the front and say, is there any way that I could keep this magazine? I can read it and bring it back. I can bring another magazine, right? So ask and you shall receive. A small pleasure. Now, the other thing is, if they said no, now this would be a challenge, right? Or a test for you. Because sometimes no just means not right now, okay? So now, so you might be like, well, that didn't work. That might be your thought. But then So after you leave there, you happen to go somewhere else. Say it's a store that has a variety of items, or a garage sale, for instance, anything. And all of a sudden, you get there and you're like, I can't even believe it. Here it is, right? Here's the magazine I was just reading. I wanted. They said no, but my soul was saying yes. And so maybe you left there going, okay, so here's the example of I'm going to ask I'm going to ask God, angels, and guides. Now, this is a very simple thing, and of course, it's a material item, but it's a small example. Um, that if they would be willing to put that magazine back in my path at exactly the right time. And also, when you're asking, keeping your vibration high, right? Because you don't want to ask if you're feeling down. So, if you left feeling defeated, the original office, you might hold for a while, and then you might be thinking about that article. And when you're feeling better, then ask and say, I trust that you're bringing that into my presence at exactly the right time. Now release it and just let it go. And then all of a sudden, it might be, you could get a phone call while you're thinking it. Phone rings and friend says, hey, I have some old magazines. I know you used to read them, but you stopped buying them. Would you like them? And you're like, sure. And you're kind of wondering, what are the odds? Could the magazine be in there? And sure enough, it is, right? Or so there's all these wonderful things that get worked out, and that is a very small example. But again, that is a material thing. But when we ask for that which is not material as well, we can experience it, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and take the next one. There is a sacred nature in generosity and hospitality. Give and share because it is your divine essence to do so, right? Give and share because it is your divine essence to do so. So we can develop blockages if we are hanging on to things too tightly. And when I say things, okay, so let's just take an example, something on my shelf, whatever back there. And these are things, or what other people, you could call them possessions, right? So this is the idea that let's not let our possessions possess us, right? And so there's a sacred nature in generosity and hospitality. So it's like, yes, I'm able to not hang on to something so tightly, creating a blockage. I'm able to release, which then opens up things for more to flow in, right? And so we have experiences in a number of different ways. And so a sacred nature in generosity and hospitality. Give and share because it is your divine essence to do so. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So one of the things I want to say is 2 of the cards are outlined in red, which speaks of our root chakra. And 2 of them are outlined in green, which speaks of our heart chakra. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is tap into a deck here, and I think I just really want to mention this. So it happens to be July 5th in the United States as I record this. So and it's summer, so people are picnicking, doing more outdoor eating. Certainly the weather can come along and catch things that blow off, right? But this is about cognizant awareness of being aware of taking care of our earth the best that we can. So I was out for a short walk the other day, and I was not prepared. I didn't have stuff with me to be picking things up, but I saw a few things, and each time I did, it was like I prayed right over it that someone would be sent along who was prepared to get that cleaned up and just send healing to our earth, right? So this is called the Healing Earth Tarot, and this is a book. It is not the deck. So what I wanted to do is just see what card wants to come forth. something that we can be aware of that would be helpful here. Being extra mindful anytime we're eating out or we have that which needs to be thrown away. Really just hanging on to something until we can get to an area where it can be thrown out in the proper way. Okay, so the message, what do we have? We have the Three of Pipes. Okay. You know, it's funny, I just realized something that um, okay, so I'm going to read this. The Three of Pipes represents peace and tranquility in a natural environment. The three nymphs dance gently on the green sword. Their magic pipe smoke turns into three doves of pink, blue, and yellow. There may have been too much harshness and noise in the recent past, leaving the senses dulled and bruised. How interesting that I was speaking about the senses, right? Coming back to your senses, feeling things, smelling scents, right? This is a time for quiet contemplation, resting with the delicate sounds of nature for company, and allowing sensitivity to come to the fore. This is a special form of retreat that enables the individual to taste something of the mystery in the wild, quiet stillness of the elemental world. In a reading, the Three of Pipes reminds you not to neglect the importance of time out. It may signal a time with gentle friends who nourish you with their presence, or a quiet period to be with yourself. It certainly means enjoyment, usually of a more tranquil type. So let's imagine that you are simply wanting to come back to your senses, right? Well, this would involve turning off the electronics. This would involve getting quiet. And this idea of getting out in nature and just connecting with the ground, so you can feel the grass, or you can feel sand, or you can feel dirt, right? Whatever that is, that you are connecting with the ground. You can smell the scents of what might be considered summer, right? So it could be fresh mowed grass. It could be after a rain. It could be somebody barbecuing off in a distance, or a place of business where you smell the scents of what is around, right? You listen with your ears. So not only do you smell the fresh cut grass, you may have heard a lawnmower. You may hear someone building something in the background, right? You may hear children laughing. You may hear a conversation that's a little bit over. You may hear animals or birds, right? The communication that happens between them, right? You might see formations in the clouds. You might see various animals, right? So each of these, you're going to see different things, and it calls you to be aware of whatever it is that you are seeing, sensing, knowing. It's the way that the universe is speaking to you. It's telling you something about yourself. So when we take a moment and we say, what is, say, a child's laughter? What is that telling me about myself, right? That I am ready to play and to have fun and laughter. If you hear a lawnmower, does it bring you back to a place? Maybe you don't mow the lawn anymore, right? Does it bring you back to a time and place when you did, or does it bring up a memory or a trigger, right, of some sort? And How do you feel when the birds are chirping? Does it take you somewhere else, or can you stay there and be in your senses, if you will, right? But all of this, again, when we listen to the natural world, it calls us yet to be very aware of that Mother Earth is a living, breathing being, and about the care of Mother Earth, right? And doing our part to um, do the best that we can to care for Mother Earth, right? And there's so many different ways. So, I'll leave that to you to look. I did buy a deck, and I have it someplace. It's not out, but it's called 100 Ways to Save the Planet. And it's a deck of 100 cards, and they're about like this big. And so kind of gives you different ideas of ways that you can do your part, if you will, to help heal our earth. Okay. And even if you haven't, like, say you're trying to finish off some things you have, or not sure how to, dispose of things properly, or whatever that is, and you are in this shifting phase, if you will, you can still take steps in other ways, and that is caring for the earth as you see it, right? Okay, I'm going to take one more. What else would you like to show us here? The Ace of Rainbows. The Ace of Rainbows represents the courage to love, to feel, and to act in the instant. The rainbow divers leap headlong into the depths of the sea of love as the dolphins swim happily below. There is no second thought to her action. It has the spontaneity of coming directly from the heart. The Ace of Rainbows shows the completeness possible when we let ourselves fall into our joy and the rainbows merge into one perfect circle. The diver plunges into a circle of love which embraces her in its light and beauty. In a reading, great love is possible with the appearance of this ace. The important message here is to allow the feelings of love to be experienced and given. Whether the love is for a partner or for others, plunge into the heart of its mystery and explore how barriers dissolve within. You are far more than you ever imagined possible. So I'm being guided to share a card I pulled this morning. It says, "Go out in joy and be led forth in peace." That's Isaiah 55:12. So that is the message that came up again, in joy. I realized I didn't show you the image from the other one, but this book is in black and white. So here we have someone who's diving into the water. We have dolphins, which yet again represent joy. The water represents our emotions. Diving into your joy. I don't know if you can hear those, but there's sirens right now, which is like a confirmation. Okay, we're taking one more. The Woman of Shield. She rides her pony across the moors of a distant past. The Woman of Shields is an early Celtic warrior who carries her shield on her back as she travels. She does not need a saddle or reins because her pony is a friend who willingly accepts her on his firm back. At the standing stones, she faces north as the sun's orange orb sets in the west. Strong and resourceful, she knows the land well, and she trusts it to provide all she will need in her travels. She has embarked upon the journey to know herself and to test her strength of purpose. In a reading, the Woman of Shields represents the courage and initiative to undertake a task which may be physically or psychologically demanding. Youth and strength are on her side, and she is willing to undertake such a challenge. She also has the power to listen to her mother, the earth, and watch for helpful signals along the way. She travels north towards the place of wisdom learned through experience, and on reaching her destination will be capable of sharing her newfound wisdom with others. The card counsels that, like her, we never truly attempt a task which we don't have the abilities and the resources to complete. We may not be sure of its outset, but with good intention and strong heart, we can return with experiences worth sharing, right? So, really lovely message. Here is the image, Woman of Shields. Let's see. It was the three. Let's see. Thinking about the other one, it was the Three of Wands, I think. The book is set up kind of differently, so I'm just gonna let it be. Okay. Anyway, so that's the message from that. I'm sorry, I'm just taking a breath for a moment here. I have a book I wanted to speak on the other day, and it wasn't handy. But before I do, I'm going to tap into a deck here by Diana Cooper called Angels of the Light cards. And let's see what comes up that would be helpful for you on your journey today. What you have for the collective today. Okay, now this is not one that I'm going to use, but I do want to read the words on it. It says instruction card. And then it says meditation. Okay, so it's like you're being instructed to take time to meditate. It's just the instruction card for the deck. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, go a little further here. Archangel Zadkiel will help you find tolerance and forgiveness. He works on the violet ray of purification and transmutation, helping you to release lower vibrations and ascend to a higher way of being, right? Angel wisdom suggests that you visualize yourself in the violet flame and invoke Archangel Zadkiel to help you. Place your troubles and difficult relationships within the flame so that all negativity is transmuted. You are blessed to have drawn this card today, for it indicates you are ready to walk the path of light. I find it interesting that I'm wearing a violet top today too, that this came up, right? Okay, what else do we have? The affirmation is, I am cleansed within the violet flame. Okay, the next one speaks of generosity. And we had that come up in this other one. There's a sacred nature in generosity and hospitality. Generosity is a quality of spirit. It is rejoicing in the good fortune of others, even when you have nothing to celebrate yourself. It is an attitude of mind, which means that you are happy to give without expecting in return. Drawing this card invites you to be generous-hearted and indicates that you are ready to aspire to this noble quality. Angel wisdom suggests that you give of yourself freely, openly, and lovingly. The rewards for generosity are great, for all that you give from an open heart is returned to you multiplied, right? So again, not having that blockage, it's like, okay, I'm opening up, and so because I'm open, I don't have blockages, and divine energy sources, right? It can all move through you. Okay, so let's hold that up, generosity. Okay, go ahead. Let's see what else comes up with the next one. Imagination. Thoughts are the building bricks of life, for everything begins with a thought. Add creativity to thoughts and you have imagination. Every castle starts as a castle in the air. This image is then grounded by architects and builders. The angels are inviting you to use the power of your creative imagination to expand your horizons and to picture the life you want. When you hold a vision, the angels see the clarity of your intention and open doors to help you. The angel wisdom guides you to decide your desired outcomes. Be certain that you have the purest intentions. Then imagine your dreams and start the process of creation. The affirmation is, I picture positive outcomes for the highest good, right? It's not just for the highest good of self, it's for the highest good of all, right? Okay, and what else do we have? Joy. Joy springs from a sense of connection to the divine, and it is a quality which illuminates you. Your angel guidance is to cultivate this quality by seeking the divine in every situation. Look beyond the surface and seek the light in the heart of each person. Then you will become aware of the wonder of creation, and joy will ignite your life. Delight in everything, for joy is a key to enlightenment. Enjoy life. Okay, and we're going to take one more. Okay. Fun. How interesting, right? Okay, so your guidance is to take some time to enjoy yourself. You guys, go out, enjoy, and be led forth in peace. That's the message, Isaiah 55:12. So it says again, your guidance is to take time to enjoy yourself. Relax and find your sense of humor. Treat things lightly. Fun brings lightness of spirit, and the most difficult situation can be eased if you see the funny side of things. So cultivate a sense of ridiculous. A sense of the ridiculous. How can you bring play, laughter, and fun into your social life, your relationships, and your work life? When you have fun, the angels rejoice, for there is nothing they love more than joy, play, humor, and laughter. The affirmation is, I master my emotions, right? Emotions are energy in motion. So when you have a lot of built up energy and you're not doing anything with it, it can look like anxiety, right? This is saying, just go ahead and feel your feelings. Let that energy move through you. It's just going to pass through you. You're going to feel it, right? You might have some tears, anger, frustration, whatever all that is. Let it move through it and then be done and gone, right? And get back to this, okay? All right, and let's see. Oh, I was going to take a couple charms today. Let's see what comes up. What messages do you have for the collective? Okay, we have the DNA spiral. So this again, to me, speaks of us, the ascension, right? And that we have more, it was known that, we're operating or using two-stranded DNA, but there is much more here under the surface, if you will, right? I don't know if you can see that really closely, but there are two bars kind of between each one. But there's so much more with that. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, so I've never pulled these out of here. So this get out and have some fun, right? Now, the thing that is interesting is we have the red lens and the blue lens. And, I've heard people speak about the Matrix movie. I have never watched it. The red pill or the blue pill or whatever. I've never watched it. But this does say, how are we seeing? What are we choosing to see through the lenses of our experience, or through the lens of our experience? Can we see from different lenses, if you will, or do we always only try to see from our lens? Okay. What else do we have here? Sorry. Ooh. Well, one fell in my lap. Okay, guitar. So this could be something fun for you, guitar. At the same time, I had a coffee cup with a heart in it come out, and so if you like to play or sing music, this brings you joy. That would be something you could do, maybe even going to play in a coffee shop, right? Bringing joy to others. That's one way to be generous. We have a leaf that also came out. Um, so there could be a new leaf on the tree, if you will, coming into the family. Um, because this leaf is green. It is not orange or brown or burgundy, right? It's green. It is a new leaf. So you could have some news coming about a new little one. Yeah. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, so we have a cactus, right? So the cactus says a number of things. In the United States, it represents the southwest of the United States. Um, So it could be something going on with the Southwest. It has in it green stones. Green can represent emeralds, right? The month of May. Um, the month of May is what emerald is. Something with the Southwest. The other thing about cactus is, this could even be regarding a move, or it could also be the reminder that the cactus is very sturdy, right? It's very sturdy because it can preserve during tough conditions, right? And but it also has thorns to protect itself. So just kind of being aware of whatever that means in your experience, right? Okay, what else do we have? Okay, we have a snail, right? So, what has been slow moving in your life? What has been slow moving in your life, right? And this snail is smiling, right? Moving at its own pace. Not, there's a story about oh, no, it's the wrong story. Sorry. But this snail is smiling. I'm not sure if you can see that. But it's happy going at its own pace, right? It's doing what works for its journey. It doesn't have to be a race to be in somebody else's pace of life. Okay, the next one that we have is a balloon. A couple of things. In order to gain height, or to see things from a higher perspective, we may have to lighten our load of what weighed us down, right? But this is saying, have you already been doing that work where you're getting the height, where you're now starting to see things from a higher perspective? The other thing I almost said about this is New Mexico with these cactuses, because I believe there are some cactuses in New Mexico, and I know New Mexico is also well known for having like balloon rides. I don't know what area, but I know that it is. What else do we have here? Okay, we have a puzzle piece. Okay, so even when we look at these charms or these cards, right, we're all given various pieces to the puzzle. But when we work together, we end up building an entire picture, right? And so sometimes, imagine if you're putting a puzzle together with a group of people, whatever that is, or even one or two, it doesn't matter. You're putting a puzzle together with someone or a group of people, and someone continues to put pieces in their pocket because they like what's on the piece, right? But then everyone's working together and they're like, where are all these pieces? It was a brand new puzzle, they just opened it, right? Where are all these pieces? We find out that the one who's been sticking them in their pocket is actually a younger soul or a younger energy, who thought that this piece was pretty, so they wanted it and they kept it, not realizing that it would affect the whole of the picture, right? And so once they realize that the piece are pieces that they had were important to the whole. They were willing to give them up or put them back and see that the pieces that they had or the piece that they are is important to the puzzle, right? That says we are all important in our journey. We are all here for unique reasons, right? Okay, what else do we have? Yeah, you're being called to believe in yourself at this time, right? Believe in yourself. Getting back to this idea of imagination. When you hold a vision, the angels see the clarity of your intention and open doors to help you. So that's the message for today. I want to say thank you for joining me. I hope you found this helpful, hopeful, and healing. Take care.